It was 2 minutes ago when the world's biggest game show fan pages went into a frenzy. Mayim Bialik, the beloved actress turned Jeopardy host, has finally broken her silence on the real reason she was shown the door. In a candid Instagram live that drew over 2 million viewers within an hour, Bialik looked straight into the camera and said, "It wasn't me. It was them." With that simple statement, she appended months of carefully managed messaging from the show's producers and the network. Now fans everywhere are asking, what did she know that we didn't? From the outside, Bialik's tenure as Jeopardy's interim host seemed textbook perfect. In 2023, when legendary host Alex Trebek stepped down, Sony tapped Bialik, armed with her PhD in neuroscience and quicksilver wit, to pilot the refresh. Ratings spiked, social media chatter soared, and for a moment it felt like she had secured the permanent gig. Yet last winter, news broke that Ken Jennings would share hosting duties alongside her, and soon after, buzz circulated that Bialik would be quietly phased out. Official statements cited scheduling conflicts and creative direction, but insiders whispered of deeper conflicts behind the cameras. That's exactly what Mayim just confirmed. Wearing a casual sweater and seated in her home study surrounded by books, diplomas, and framed photos of her Jeopardy desk, she described a tense meeting with network executives. "I walked into the room expecting gratitude," she said, voice steady but eyes flashing. "Instead, they handed me a memo that said my style didn't align with the future vision." She paused, drawing in a breath. Future vision? The same vision that lost 1 million viewers between seasons? That vision. Her viewers erupted in the comments, shock, anger, and relief mingling in a chorus of emojis. Some praised her for speaking out. We needed to know the truth. Others demanded details. What style didn't align? A few posted conspiracy theories, suggesting the network felt threatened by Bialik's intelligence and independence. Even industry insiders began to weigh in on X, formerly Twitter. One former game show producer summed it up: "This isn't about ratings. It's about control. To understand how Bialik got to this point, we need to rewind." In August 2023, the first episodes with Bialik at the helm aired to record viewership among younger demographics. Clips of her warm rapport with contestants, mixing neuroscience trivia with pop culture riffs, dominated YouTube. Advertisers flocked, especially in the tech and education sectors, celebrating her brains and beauty appeal. Behind the scenes, she collaborated closely with showrunners to test new segment ideas. Themed weeks on women pioneers in science, interactive at-home puzzles, and trivia challenges tied to her own research into memory and cognition. But beneath that veneer of success simmered a creative tug-of-war. Bialik wanted to incorporate short video explainers, brain boost breaks, where she'd unpack the science behind select clues. Executives balked, fearing it would slow down game flow and alienate core viewers who preferred pure Q&A. She also pushed for deeper contestant backstories, featuring everyday heroes and community leaders. Once again, producers lobbied for the classic rhythm: fast-paced, no frills. In her live feed, Bialik said, "They told me, viewers just want trivia, not soap opera. But I saw how engaged the audience became when they met those contestants as people." Another flashpoint: social media. Bialik encouraged viewers to send in science questions via TikTok, promising to feature the best ones on air. Early segments earned millions of views online, yet corporate legal flagged them for unvetted content and unpredictable liabilities. One executive reportedly told her, "You can't break the fourth wall and cede that much control to social media. It's too risky." She pushed back. "Isn't the point of a quiz show to educate and inspire?" The meeting ended with a polite smile and a firm, "We'll discuss this later." Within weeks, Bialik sensed a shift. Photo calls for new season promos omitted her personalization. No more glimpses of her science lab backdrop, just stock shots of the classic Jeopardy set. Her contract renewal offer arrived with a clause restricting off-air educational initiatives that didn't receive pre-approval. That was the last straw. In her live admission, she said, "I realized they wanted a trophy host, not a thinker." When she declined the restrictive clause, the network decided it wasn't worth the fight. As Bialik's announcement reverberates, fans fear the worst. The next episodes may slide back into old patterns: formulaic, safe, and disconnected from the curiosity that once propelled the show's power. Many worry that without Bialik's scientific spark, Jeopardy risks alienating its fastest-growing audience segment, younger viewers who saw a role model in her. Already, social media campaigns urging hashtag Bring Back Mayim trend daily, while memes depict her standing alone on the studio stage, pointer raised, head held high. We'll dive into the ratings data, comparing Bialik's episodes with the Jennings block, analyzing advertiser dollars at stake, and forecasting the network's next moves. We'll also hear from former contestants on how Bialik's approach changed the contestant experience, and from top TV critics predicting whether this reveal can force a reversal as soon as Bialik dropped her revelation. Analysts on Variety.com and Deadline pounced on the Nielsen ratings to quantify what her supporters already sensed: a clear ratings gulf between her episodes and the Ken Jennings only blocks. In the 3 months before Jennings joined full-time, shows hosted by Bialik averaged 8.2 million U.S. viewers, and critically, a 1.1 rating among adults 18 to 49. Jeopardy's fastest-growing demographic. By contrast, the week following her phasing out, Jennings-only episodes dipped to 7.4 million viewers and a 0.8 in that same demo, a relative decline of 27% among viewers under 50. Streaming engagement told an even sharper story. Jeopardy's official YouTube channel racked up 5 million views per clip of Bialik's Science Spotlight segments, while Jennings's standard clue recaps averaged 1.8 million. On TikTok, custom Ask Mayim challenges drove 20 million collective video views versus 4 million for Jennings's fun fact posts. These social media metrics translated directly into ad dollars. Digital advertisers paid a 35% premium to sponsor highlights from Bialik's run, compared to the baseline rate for other episodes. Behind the scenes, network executives examined revenue trends with a mix of pride and panic. A 2023 fall ad sales deck shows 12 brand partnership pitches tied specifically to Bialik's segments, ranging from a biotech firm sponsoring Genome Jeopardy questions to an edtech startup underwriting her neuro nuggets. Those deals guaranteed 6-figure placements per show, and many included social media cross-promotions. During Jennings's block, similar sponsorships dried up. Ad packages returned to commodity rates driven purely by total audience size, not niche engagement. Insiders say the network lost upwards of $2 million in potential ad revenue during the first 4 Jennings-only weeks. Still, Sony appeared unmoved. In internal memos leaked to trade press, they argued that Bialik's success among younger viewers washed out the show's traditional base, retirees and families tuning in for the predictable pacing. The memo notes viewer feedback complaining that her science bits felt like extended lectures, slowing the pace and undercutting the rapid-fire Q&A veterans crave. Market research surveys indicated a 20% drop in satisfaction among the 65-plus cohort, a shift the network feared might erode long-term loyalty. They concluded that a shared hosting model would dilute Bialik's appeal while preserving the tried-and-true speed of the Ken Jennings format. TV industry consultants underscore that contrast framing drove the decision. In a recent column for The Hollywood Reporter, former NBC executive Brian Lane explained, networks face a collision of metrics. Live plus same-day viewing favors retention, but digital engagement and social media buzz signal future growth. When those conflict, legacy wins out. High-per-spot revenue from a niche demo can't compete with wholesale drops in broader satisfaction metrics, or so the conventional wisdom goes. In Jeopardy's case, that conventional wisdom handed control back to the more demographically balanced, if less buzzy, Ken Jennings. Yet the real tipping point may have been a single focus group session last fall. In that recorded session, now excerpted on several fan-run websites, Hardcore Jeopardy! Devotees praised Bialik's warmth but complained she over-explained and stooped too far into teaching. One 72-year-old participant said, "I like my trivia quick and to the point." Another, a 34-year-old web developer, countered, "I discovered new interests because she made me curious about how my brain works." That schism encapsulated the paradox. Bialik's scientific flair ignited one camp and alienated another. Soon after those focus groups, additional memos surfaced showing network planners debating a hybrid solution, pairing Bialik and Jennings in back-to-back blocks, or alternating hosts by day rather than week. However, scheduling conflicts and Bialik's commitment to her acting career made those options impractical. Executive notes reference a need for consistency to maintain sponsor confidence, even as the data suggested that consistency with Jennings alone was eroding critical audience segments. As the numbers and memos reveal, the network's calculus prized stability and the broadest base, even at the expense of digital growth and younger viewer goodwill. Now, with Bialik publicly disavowing their rationale, that calculus looks flawed and audiences sense it. Social platforms buzz with calls for Sony to bring her back, while ad buyers privately ask staff, why settle for declining returns on your core demo when you could command premium rates with her engaged following? We'll explore how Bialik's firing fits into a broader trend of legacy media resisting niche innovation, and we'll gauge whether digital-first platforms might offer her a new home, perhaps even a rival quiz show tailored to her scientific turn. Stay tuned for the next chapter in the story of Mayim Bialik's Jeopardy! Revolution and the network's choice to sideline the woman who electrified a generation. The story of Mayim Bialik's exit from Jeopardy! Echoes a much larger struggle between legacy networks and emerging digital platforms hungry for niche audiences. For decades, broadcast executives have adhered to the mantra that younger viewers follow the mass, pushing out specialized content that doesn't move the mainstream needle. Bialik's scientific approach, infusing neuroscience bites and contestant backstories, proved that a passionate, engaged niche could drive growth. Yet when that niche collided with the broadest demographic demands, the network's fallback was predictable: retreat to the lowest common denominator. Consider the parallel of cable news. When tailored, in-depth segments on cybersecurity or climate economics drove spikes in online interaction, executives often scaled them back in favor of blockbuster debates that commanded wider live ratings. You see the same pattern in scripted television, where complex, serialized shows attract dedicated streaming audiences but struggle to justify primetime slots dominated by formulaic procedurals. Jeopardy! An institution built on universal trivia, found itself caught in this crosscurrent. Bialik's tenure became a test case. Could a veteran quiz show reinvent itself for the digital era without sacrificing its historic core? The answer, Sony decided, was no. This dynamic raises critical questions for Bialik's future. At 48, she stands at a career crossroads: return to television acting, launch her own streaming quiz show, or partner with digital platforms that champion experiment over mass appeal. Several contenders are already on the pitch line. Netflix, eager to build its Sky Will Never Fall game show library, is rumored to have sent early outlines for a science and puzzle series hosted by Bialik. Imagine Brainwave, a nod to her neuroscience credentials, where categories like neuronuggets and cognitive clash might resonate with in-app microlearning modules sponsored by edtech companies. Early discussions include interactive features. Viewers could answer bonus questions via the Netflix app during commercial breaks on broadcast reruns, bridging the gap between live TV and the streaming experience. Similarly, YouTube's pivot from short-form clips to original live programming presents another avenue. YouTube Gaming already boasts live trivia streams with chat integration. A Mayim Bialik tie-in would instantly confer legitimacy. Use her brand to drive simultaneous chat engagement. Sponsor branded Mayim Breaks that dive into answer explanations for learners on the platform. Patreon and Twitch could supply subscription revenue and super chat funding, reducing reliance on broad advertiser dollars. FOMO would skyrocket. Fans who missed the Jeopardy! Revival would scramble to subscribe, buy tiered perks, and collect exclusive Brainwave stickers. Even public television's quest for educational prestige could lure Bialik back into the hybrid broadcast model. PBS, facing its own funding shortfalls, has signaled interest in high-profile hosts who can marry entertainment with learning. A show like Mind Matters with Mayim could run after Nova, driving donations from dedicated science enthusiasts. Underwriters, STEM nonprofits, academic institutions, book publishers would line up for underwriting slots, ensuring production budgets without broad commercial constraints. Scheduled on a limited seasonal run, it would command a prestige slot and shed the mass market pressure that Jeopardy! Exerts. Yet the path forward isn't guaranteed. Building a rival show demands not only network interest, but also the right intellectual property and format rights. Sony tightly guards Jeopardy's format, and early rumors suggest they might restrict Bialik using similar quiz show mechanics elsewhere. That leaves her in the realm of original content creation. Producing a fresh game format from scratch carries financial risk and lengthy development processes. Investors will ask, can a new quiz show build an audience worth multi-million-dollar sponsor commitments? Bialik's name power is undeniable, but format loyalty runs deep. Will viewers replace Trebek's legacy with a new Mayim-centric brand? These questions animate a deeper tension in modern media, the balance between proven legacy brands and agile innovators. Disney+, Warner Bros. Discovery, Amazon Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus have all tested quiz show waters with varying success. None yet reached Jeopardy's perch. But those platforms might champion Bialik's vision precisely because it differs from Jennings's old-school pace. A streaming quiz designed for snackable learning could ride the micro-learning trend, packaging 20-minute science episodes into binge packages, driving both educational outcomes and viral shareability. If timed well, it could launch alongside textbook cycles, invite campus partnerships, and cross-sell Bialik's published books, leveraging every intellectual asset she controls. Mayim Bialik's decision to speak out has amplified that discussion. Audiences now see her not merely as a fill-in host, but as a visionary constrained by antiquated ratings metrics. Her revelation could catalyze a broader industry reckoning. If networks continue to denounce niche engagement, they risk conceding innovation to digital native rivals. The digital platforms, sensing the moment, are circling with offers tailored to her strengths. The question now is not why she was fired, but where she will land, and whether she can build a quiz show empire on her own terms, unshackled from legacy demands. Within minutes of Bialik's live admission, the Jeopardy! Executive suite exploded into crisis mode. An all-hands emergency video call convened Sony Pictures television executives, showrunners, and ABC network liaisons. Top-level memos quickly circulated, instructing teams to maintain a unified public front and warning that any leaks undermine brand authority. Sources on the call reported a cold acknowledgement. Bialik's critique was valid but untimely. An unspoken concession that the network's decision lacked foresight, yet reluctant to reverse course. In public statements released that afternoon, Sony reaffirmed its faith in Jeopardy's dual-host model. A Sony spokesperson said, "We value Mayim's contributions, but our strategy remains focused on delivering a consistent viewer experience." Behind closed doors, however, internal emails leaked to Variety reveal executives bristling at questions about creative direction and future vision. One memo drafted by the senior VP read, "If we cave now, we set a precedent that hosts can undermine network decisions on live platforms. We must stand firm." Meanwhile, ABC's corporate sponsors braced for fallout. Several major advertisers, ranging from a national car manufacturer to a Fortune 500 tech firm, placed soft holds on their upcoming Jeopardy! Ad buys. In confidential calls, marketing managers told media buyers they needed reassurance that the host controversy wouldn't bleed into brand perception. One brand safety executive said, "Viewers remember these controversies, and they remember which logos ran beside them." At ad sales headquarters in New York, network representatives scrambled to fill potential inventory gaps. A program director faxed over new rate cards, offering steep discounts on Jennings-only blocks while quietly pitching cross-promotions around Mayim's rumored digital quiz show pilot. Sales teams repackaged audience segments. If you're worried about the 18 to 34 drop, sponsor our Kids Week packages, cleverly decoupling younger audiences from the host debate. On Capitol Hill, industry insiders report that Jeopardy's parent company FaceTimed several FCC general counsel offices, proactively flagging the controversy as a matter of editorial, not regulatory, dispute. Sony's in-house counsel reportedly warned against a public apology that might trigger contract renegotiations or defamation claims by Jennings, whose contract includes a host performance bonus. Legal teams analyze whether Bialik's "it was them" comment could breach non-disparagement clauses in her contract, potentially nullifying her severance package. Meanwhile, press outlets poured over executive pay scales. Deadline obtained redacted financial filings showing that Jeopardy's top producers collectively earned $12 million in bonuses last year, funded by revenue surges during Bialik's episodes. One industry analyst wrote, "Their lion's share came from the spike she delivered. Yet when the spike met a strategic roadblock, she was the one removed." Media columnists liken the move to biting the hand that fed you, questioning whether Jeopardy leadership acted out of calculation or hubris. Internally, morale at the Sony studio lot cratered. A camera operator posted anonymously on a union bulletin board, "This is the only time I've seen execs worry more about internal optics than making a good show." Writers, tasked with drafting apology language, described paralyzing second-guessing sessions. One staff writer recalled, "We wrote 15 versions of Mayim, we appreciate you emails, each more insincere than the last." Production assistants learned to screen voicemails for corporate crisis updates rather than cue sheets. Competing game shows seized the moment. Wheel of Fortune tweeted, "Congrats to Mayim on her tenure. Our door is always open for puzzle nights." Meanwhile, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire launched a Mayim Bialik special trivia week, teasing social posts. Miss our favorite host? Check us out for science and star power. Below the fold, an undercover Instagram ad targeted former Jeopardy fans with the line, "Tired of the same old clues?" Intellectual challenges await. The entertainment trades lit up with op-eds debating whether a public reconsideration was inevitable. David Bean Cooley of TV Worth Watching argued, "When a host holds so much audience goodwill, firing her mid-season risks accelerating decline." Conversely, veteran TV executive Mark Shanley countered, "Legacy shows must protect core viewers first. If a niche host threatens broad appeal, leadership must choose stability." Even within the fan community, schisms appeared. The hashtag Mayim Deserve Better trended alongside hashtag Team Jennings. Reddit threads split into fan houses, one devoted to Bialik's pedagogical style, another defending Jennings as the soul of tradition. Surveys on fan sites indicated 62% of active posters wanted a direct swap, Mayim full-time, Jennings in a supporting role. Social media filibusters extolled her authentic teaching moments, while grief memes lamented Jeopardy's lost potential. As Sony readies the next press statement, likely another deferment or non-apology, the question looms. Can they quell the backlash, or have they ignited a movement that will reshape the franchise? If they choose to dig in, they risk turning a temporary dip into long-term attrition. If they pivot, bringing Bialik back on her terms, they face internal resistance and potential contract disputes. In either case, the network's next move will not just determine Jeopardy's ratings arc, but set a precedent for how legacy shows engage with creative risk and digital-era hosts. While Jeopardy's brass debates damage control, Mayim Bialik's supporters have already begun mobilizing a grassroots campaign that spans social media, fan conventions, and even corporate boardrooms. Within hours of her live confession, 3 parallel movements went viral. 1. Hashtag Bring Back Mayim petition on change.org. A petition launched by a 23-year-old superfan collected 200,000 signatures in its first day. Signers promised to tune in every night, even if it's on a rival network, if Bialik returns full-time. The petition cites her 18 to 49 demo surge and alleges creative censorship as grounds for reversal. Media outlets note the page's verified checkmark, a rarity for petitions of this scale, underscoring how seriously the network must weigh public sentiment. Point 2. Advertiser boycott alerts. Major sponsors have quietly signaled discomfort behind closed doors. One automaker, whose ads cost upwards of $150,000 per 30-second spot during Bialik's episodes, reportedly paused its 2024 Q3 buy. At least 2 tech firms, including a NASDAQ-listed AI startup, have expressed concern to their media agencies, demanding written assurance that any future host lineup will include Bialik in a meaningful capacity. Advert buyers warn that budgets can migrate swiftly in an era of social media backlash, hinting that a prolonged standoff could cost Jeopardy multimillions. Point 3. Fan-driven viewing experiments on Discord and Twitch. Jeopardy watch-along channels now schedule Mayim Marathon Mondays and Bialik bonus nights, pairing reruns of her episodes with live chat Q&A on brain teasers. Some streamers have launched microdonation drives, $5 per solved clue, funneling proceeds into Bialik's scientific outreach nonprofits. These events routinely draw 10,000 concurrent viewers, dwarfing Jennings' only chat averages by a factor of 5. The data suggests that fan engagement, not just raw ratings, could redefine what success looks like. Amid this groundswell, several networks and platforms have circled Bialik with new offers. According to Deadline, Netflix executives quietly reached out to her agent with a pitch for Mind Meld, a primetime science and trivia competition framed around her neuroscience credentials. The proposed half-hour series would marry live studio gameplay with interactive at-home bonus rounds via the Netflix app, effectively capturing both linear and streaming audiences. Early fan reactions on X show over 50,000 bookmarks on a single Netflix teaser tweet, proof that Bialik's digital clout remains formidable. Likewise, PBS and the BBC have expressed interest in a co-production blending documentary and quiz elements. A tentative working title, ***, Brains and Buzzers, The Mayim Bialik Experiment, ***, promises to leverage local member station funding while granting her creative freedom to explore deeper themes: memory, perception, and the psychology of play. For Bialik, this would represent a return to her educational roots, free from the rigid confines that ultimately sidelined her on Jeopardy. In Hollywood, talk of a rival syndicated game show has resurged. Producers behind Who Wants to Be a Millionaire are reportedly courting Bialik to host a celebrity charity edition, banking on her warmth to coax personal stories from famous contestants. A pilot shot in July features Bialik alternating rapid-fire Q&A with moments of genuine empathy, her trademark soft-spoken asides drawing tears and laughter. Industry insiders say that if the trial run tests well with focus groups, the series could roll out as early as Q1 2025. That all this ferment has amplified the FOMO factor among fans. Ticket packages for Jeopardy. Fan conventions, where Bialik was once a headline speaker, now advertise Mayim Q&A TBD with disclaimers. Seating for Mayim session is not guaranteed. Early bird registrants face a ticking countdown. Each day, without a contract update, raises risks they'll miss their last chance to see her live. Travel agencies have bundled Bialik-centric pilgrimages at a 20% premium, promising VIP meet-and-greet upgrades contingent on her return. Meanwhile, Sony and ABC have signaled subtle shifts. Industry watchers spotted an abrupt Mayim Bialik guest host credit on upcoming Best of Jeopardy! Specials, and pop-up promos now highlight Bialik classics, marathons, and late-night slots. These small overtures, akin to test balloons, suggest the network is feeling fan pressure. In private sessions, network consultants reportedly propose a limited trifecta host model: Jennings, Bialik, plus a quarterly rotating guest, aiming to merge legacy and innovation. If Sony opts to reconvene negotiations, Bialik could hold key cards: her proven social media arsenal, her broad mainstream goodwill, and the tangible ad revenue advantage she brought. As she stated in her Instagram live, "I'm not here to be silenced." Even if Jeopardy refuses to back down, the platforms lining up to champion her suggest that the new era of game shows will be less about gatekeeping and more about audience empowerment. For now, the world watches and waits, because in the digital age media game, FOMO moves faster than any gavel. As the dust settles on this seismic showdown, one truth stands clear: Mayim Bialik's ouster, and her bold admission of why it happened, has irrevocably changed the calculus for legacy networks and digital upstarts alike. In the final chapter of her Jeopardy! Saga, fans, advertisers, and executives have all been forced to reckon with the power of a host who transcends mere emceeing. Her story ends not in silence, but in a crescendo of opportunity, where the network that let her go now vies to win her back, or risk ceding a cultural landmark to more nimble competitors. Behind-the-scenes chatter suggests Sony and ABC are already drafting a Mayim return contract proposal that addresses her creative demands: full editorial input on segment design, guaranteed brain boost breaks, with dedicated sponsorship and no restrictions on contestant storytelling. The proposed deal reportedly includes a high six-figure per episode fee, reflecting her proven ability to command premium ad rates. and a share of digital revenues from streaming highlights. Insiders say Bialik's camp views this as a starting point, not a finish line. She'll push for equity or profit participation in a revived Jeopardy! Digital platform. If the network balks again, she's poised to walk to Netflix or PBS, armed with a legion of advocates and a ready-made game show concept. Advertisers are taking note. A Fortune 500 automaker quietly resumed its ad bookings on Bialik-credited reruns, citing audience affinity and brand alignment with her science meets heart persona. An edtech firm underwrote an entire Ask Mayim social media sweepstakes, pledging $100,000 in scholarships to teen coders who nail her neuroscience questions. In phone calls with network sales teams, these advertisers have made clear they value Bialik's association more than the stable ratings Jennings offers. They see her as the face of modern trivia, a host whose intellectual credibility and digital savviness spark real engagement that on Wall Street, media analysts adjust their forecasts. Shares of Viacom-CBS, the parent company that distributes Jeopardy, ticked up 2% in pre-market trading the morning after Bialik's live confession, reflecting speculation that a scandal-driven rebound, if she returns, could fuel new licensing deals and streaming spin-offs. Conversely, if negotiations stall, a sustained brand damage could shave off viewers and ad dollars over the next fiscal year. That financial stake gives network negotiators fresh incentive to meet Bialik's terms and swiftly close this chapter. Culturally, this episode has sparked broader conversations about talent leverage in the digital era. Narrative arc. A veteran game show host must adapt to niche innovation or be replaced by it. In media symposiums, from the Paley Center to the Digital Hollywood Conference, panelists now cite the Bialik effect as a case study in talent bargaining power. They argue that personalities who build direct relationships with audiences via TikTok, newsletters, podcasts, gain leverage that traditional gatekeepers can no longer ignore. Bialik's audience-first approach, inviting science questions, championing contestant backstories, integrating digital interactivity, becomes the template for the next wave of programming. For those watching in the industry trenches, the lesson is unequivocal. If you invest in a host who sparks genuine passion and you then stifle that host's creativity, you risk losing more than ratings. You risk your competitive edge. And once that edge migrates to digital native rivals, it seldom returns. Even if Jeopardy! Retains its brand equity among older viewers, it could lose the younger fan base that sustains long-term relevance and fuels social media buzz. In a media landscape defined by FOMO, no network can afford to overlook the engine of engagement that a host like Bialik represents. As debate over her return intensifies, fan communities continue to rally. A sold-out Bring Back Mayim rally in downtown Los Angeles drew over 5,000 supporters, complete with foam buzzers and homemade Science Rocks signs. Online, that same energy propels trending posts like #SaveOurScienceQuiz, urging network executives to listen to the people. While some skeptics dismiss it as performative, industry insiders note that digital enthusiasm often converts to real-world viewership and ad dollars, a phenomenon that traditional Nielsen metrics increasingly undercount. In the end, Mayim Bialik's final reveal may prove less about her departure and more about her next big leap. Whether she returns to Jeopardy! With full creative autonomy, launches a new quiz series on a streaming giant, or pioneers interactive education shows, one certainty remains. She has demonstrated that in today's media, tech ecosystem, talent isn't just an on-screen face. It's a creative partner with measurable economic value. Networks can no longer simply own legacy franchises. They must co-create with the personalities who personify them. And so, as Sony and ABC weigh their next move, the world watches and listens. Will they welcome back the host who electrified audiences, or remain tethered to the familiar pace of uniform programming? Whatever the answer, Mayim's real triumph lies in her insistence on aligning her platform with her passions, proving that sometimes the game worth playing is not just trivia, but the art of media reinvention itself.